Hey y'all, it's me, Dr. Lynn Daniel, PhD, EDS. I am the self care evangelist here on social media, and today I'm going to encourage the members of my doctoral aftercare and healing group and any other doctoral candidates, even. I'm going to encourage you all to conduct research. Okay, conduct research. Research is a way to express yourself, to show, to glean your understandings and put them in a format that seems natural to you, and then to report out, share out with your community. It's a way of helping others to increase their understanding and awareness. And so the types of qualitative research methods include, but are not limited to, one-on-one interviews, focus groups, ethnographic research, case study research, record keeping, qualitative observations. When I conducted my doctoral dissertation study in the spring, well, all of 2020, it was right during COVID. I got approved like a week or so, a few days before lockdown. And so I was one of the pioneers who fully conducted my study fully digitally, online, and using remote methodologies and approaches to collect the data. I conducted one on one interviews using Zoom. I used email to reach out and contact participants you know, candidates who wanted to participate. And that's how we communicated. I conducted a focus group at the end. I think I did. Did I do one or two focus groups? I'll have to look back over my study, but I conducted a focus group afterwards. I definitely engaged in record keeping during the entire process, even prior and then even after. Okay. And yes, it was a qualitative study, and my observation included using digital forms to look at various types of data, resources, and pieces of information and everything that was shared with me, okay, from the participants, the subjects. I don't like calling them subjects. Okay, so you're probably already doing these things, and if you like broaden the scope of how you're looking at your job, broaden the scope of how you see the work that you do, and put on the lens, your glasses, your researcher glasses, or put on the researcher's hat. Because when you do that, is you're going to begin seeing your work as a gold mine for data collection. You'll be able to engage in one-on-one interviews just through conversations with your colleagues. Now, if you are wanting to use it in the research, you do have to inform them, inform and consent for it to be used in the research. But I want you to begin looking to see that you're already doing these things. You're having conversations about the work that you're doing, right? And then the focus groups are already happening, likely in various PDs, professional development sessions, professional learning communities, communities of practice, right? So the only thing that you'll maybe need to look at and maybe tweak would be the informed consent, and then the focus group structure, making sure you're following a protocol for focus groups. And then even still, you can possibly consider designing your own protocol for that. So you're more than likely already conducting focus groups. Ethnographic research, so you're, you know, looking at your life. You're looking at the life of your community, the people involved in it. So put that lens on and take a strong peek at it, right? Case study, you're probably already doing case study too. Yeah, so record keeping, I know you're doing record keeping. Yeah, because this is happening in your environment, in the culture, to understand the culture, in the environment of your job, to see the various perspectives, in the setting of your job, to understand the culture through the practices, observing the practices and the implications of the practices. Okay, so here are 5 steps to creating your qualitative study. And notice that is color coded. So those of you who are multitasking, I am going to read this so that you can hear me and continue with your other tasks. Step 1, create a project layout with objectives. Step 2, create an outline of questions to ask. You can ask as many questions as you want. And your objectives, you can have one or two strong, one clear objective with sub objectives, right, for 1 and 2. What's your main point? Well, you can have one. You might have more than one though. Okay, so 1 is create project layout with objectives. Step 2, create an outline of questions to ask. Step 3, recruit from your community. This is your inform and consent piece. And so you have to, respectfully get the permissions to conduct the study. 4, you go ahead and implement, you start conducting the research, which the timeline is up to you based on how deep you want to go, how much information, data you want to gather, how large your group is or the size of your group. And even even still, it's based on what you're looking for. It all goes back to your objectives and the questions you're asking, how deep and wide you want to go with getting answers about that. And then step 5 is crunch the data and compare your report. And in one one of the people who helped me to, and is still helping me with, like coding, if you will, coding qualitative data, is Dr. Kakali Bhattacharya. And I was a member of her S2S, Strength to Strength group. And then I'm also a member of her qualitative research group on Facebook. So you can find her on Facebook if you're interested. And you can also look on my channel and see an interview I conducted with her back in 2021. Um, but she really helped me to get my voice, to discover my voice as a black woman through all of my intersecting lenses. So, black woman, yes. So, my female voice, my mother voice, my lived experience as a Christian, a woman of faith, and how that others me, right? I understand how that others me and how other people perceive that and then engage with me because of that. It really took me to a point where I started looking closely at my lived experience as a young child with an illness, a childhood illness, and how that really defined who I was and who I am in ways that I wasn't aware of, and in ways that are still being unpacked and unveiled right before my eyes. Like when I traveled with a group to Dubai in 2022. And what I now, I'm going to share this story because I think it's significant about what I'm saying, the point I'm making. When you're crunching the data and you're preparing your report, Dr. Kakali Bhattacharya tells you to go deeper. Like, don't just take the surface findings, go deeper. What do they mean? So, here's what I mean about my understanding my childhood illnesses helped me to understand who I am today. So, in 2022, I traveled to Dubai with a group, and in packing to go on that group, I felt like I had to have every comfort with me. Not only every comfort, things that I consider comfort, but things that I consider care, necessary care because of my health conditions. So I packed, for comfort, I packed a big fuzzy robe, which I did not need. I packed a machine that helps me in case something happens, medicines that possibly weren't even allowed in the country. Um, and then I had all of those comforts right in there, and it was too big for the first luggage I purchased, which was not very large. It was not carry-on size, but it wasn't very large. So I went and bought a larger piece of luggage to get all my comforts in there, and then got to the airport and my luggage was delayed for a day or two. It was delayed, and it was delayed in Dubai. So we thought maybe it was a few, there were a few of us who our luggage got delayed because it was during that time of that snowstorm in Canada, and we were flying Air Canada, and Air Canada is the one that delayed our luggage. So we were thinking, oh my goodness, our luggage is in Canada, but it wasn't. So when I got my luggage, everything was in there. My health machine, my medicines, my big old comfy robe, all of the things I needed for comfort and care. Now, why is that important? Because it was all based on my awareness of the fact that I have conditions that require attention. And so I packed up all that stuff. I packed up all that stuff, guys, and then was without it for a few days. Now, I wasn't highly anxious. I wasn't like highly worried about the luggage. Once I was there and I didn't have it, I just made do with what I did have. But it allowed me to see, wow, why did I have all that stuff? And so encoding the data, if I were including that part in my study, it would allow me to go deep into identifying my patterns of what I did, and then identifying themes within the data and categorizing the content and summarizing it into meaningful chunks of information and all of that. And then it would uncover maybe a fear. I had a fear of whatever. I could look at it that way. Or I had a vigilance about the need to be prepared, right? However, I decided to um, code it. Okay, so yeah, you all are already more than likely doing these things. So again, here are some additional ways that you can collect your qualitative data. Here are methods. You could analyze diaries, and see. I had one of my friends in the my doctoral aftercare and healing group. one of my former cohort members, and I consider him a friend because we've worked on some projects together. He had approved for me to be a part, the work that I sent to him was approved to be a part of a book that he is editing that is coming out through Brill in 2025, an autoethnographic focus, right? So I was going to get my diaries and conduct research on myself, how I dealt with the death of my husband, my late husband, how I navigated that loss, how all the things I did, like what I didn't do. I was just going to rely on those journals heavily. And then when I went back to get those journals, I couldn't find the journals. They weren't in the place where I had put them for storage. And then because of cleaning out cleaning out the house, I believe that they got packed away in a different box or something and got donated or discarded. So I don't have those journals, and I'm you can tell I'm upset cuz my voice is. But yes, I was upset by that all of those years. So I have been journaling in those journals from 2004 all the way up to 2015. So I had 9 years of data in, like, I think I had 8 to 10. I had quite a few imitation leather bound journals that I purchased from uh, a local, like, shop, like a Christian bookstore shop. Yeah, but anyway, so you can do your journals and analyze them. You can do your peer groups, your professional development groups, your community of practice groups, just a bunch of your peers. You have things in common, information in common, jobs in common, experiences in common, conflict groups. They don't get along. Like for me, I on my YouTube channel earlier this year, I posted a video about renouncing, and denouncing my a former organization that I was a member of for many years, and I was getting responses like, "Oh, you're 100 years old. You're old. It don't matter." I was getting a lot of conflict type of responses. People saying, "Well, good for you," or people criticizing, and so I'm just sharing out my experience because that conversation is for this year. I noticed, at least 2024, that conversation is an important conversation that has been going on in the Black Greek letter organizations for members, former members like myself, who have renounced and denounced and shared that in a public way. And so I did it as a way to add to the conversation for people who are in my age demographic, 60s, members who are older, who are still affiliated, and let's have a conversation about this, right? And so I would consider that a conflict group, for people who really want to engage in a conversation and not just name call. I got a lot of name calling. Okay, so I can still take the data from the video and then use that as a study or as a part of my autoethnographic study or as a standalone study. Creative groups, and I know there are qualitative researchers who are conducting research in the form of plays, artistic works like plays, dramas, anime, poetry. I wrote several books. One is a 30-day reflective journal for English teachers, and it has a poem for each day. And then, of course, autoethnographic. So these are the types of qualitative methods you can do. And then those of you who are initially like, I was going to do my doctoral dissertation as a mixed methods approach, but I wasn't getting a lot of guidance on that because at the time, I don't know. I did the reading. I reached out to mixed methods uh, researchers, and I got responses from one via email, but I didn't know how to pull that off. Now that I have a better understanding, I think I would be able to to formalize my study as a mixed method study using both the qualitative approaches and the quantitative approaches. So yeah, you all, this video is for my colleagues who are in my doctoral aftercare and healing group, and those who are not in my doctoral aftercare and healing group. If you would like to become a member of that group, it's a Facebook group. All you have to do is go to Facebook or go to Google and put in Dr. Lynn Daniel doctoral aftercare and healing group, and find me that way and ask to join and answer the questions. And if you answer the questions correctly, you will be accepted into the group. It is for doctorates, so people with the PhD or that higher level ed, right? It's an exclusive group, not to snub anybody, but we need a safe space for our creativity, for what we need. Okay, so we're not trying to snub or look down on folks. It's just not a place for you. Your experience doesn't um, match the experience of what we are addressing. But when you get your PhD, EDD, Psych D, or your doctoral level degree, you're welcome to, or you are in a doctoral level study program, you are more than welcome to reach out and ask to be a part of the group. Okay. All right, thank you all so much for your time today. I really appreciate your time because your time is important. All right, be blessed. Bye.